Once again, ladies, gentlemen, and people of all descriptions, we have one more game, of course, and that is Burning Core versus V3 Esports in Week 2 of the LJL Spring Splits 2021. Of course, we didn't cover the first 4 games of today because time zones are a fickle thing for us UK lads trying to cover the UK League. So we will be covering CGA versus Sengoku, Sengoku versus the Hawks, DFM versus CGA, and then finally the Hawks once again versus DFM. And that will be covered tomorrow at some point. Please keep updated on our Twitter and Discord for those games. But back to the matter at hand. V3 won that last game. And I think it's fair to say that most of us, and of course our predictions in the Discord would reflect this too, most of us thought that V3 were probably the favourites going into that, but there was upset potential. And we almost saw that upset potential. Burning Core are a team that have been very high, very low, bit all over the place. And now they have to face off against V3, who have consistently shown a good level of play. So Sam, as our local Burning Core kind of stan in some ways, but also just like, you just tend to have done your research on this crew. Coming into this game, what's really important for them to work out well in this game?
Last game, we saw the kind of other side of the coin of Burning Core. They were always a team last year with very defined strength. Very powerful, potent strengths, but also very obvious weaknesses in mid and bot lane. The mid lane weakness isn't really there anymore. Gariaru is a good mid laner. He's not going to lose you a game in the way that, say, Yu-Gi-Oh! Not winning lane was a serious problem. That said, Yuhi's laning phase is still a bit suspect. Going down 2k, primarily off being down 20 CS and losing first turret and all 5 plates in the bot lane is not a good look. You cannot put your team into that bigger deficit. And on the other side, if you're going to pick Elise and 2 setup lanes in your mid and top, you need to get some picks. And I don't think I have seen the best of synergies out of Burning Core's jungler plus top or mid yet. So if they want to win against V3, I need to see you once a bit more empowered and a bit more active on the map. And I need Yuhi not to fall down to Reiner and Hollow. Could be a big ask.
Exactly. Looking at this roster of V3, saying, okay, Once has got to do well and get ahead of their jungle opponent, get ahead in the game. They're against Muujin. They had a stellar game just now on that Lilia. Oh, but the bot lane can't get crushed either. Yuhi had some good moments, but also had a couple of duff moments too. Hollow and Reiner had a strong last game as well on that Kai'Sa and Leona. So Lexi, coming over to you. On the other side of this, I just asked Initialize about what needs to go well for them to win against Burning Core. On the other side for V3, what needs to go wrong for them to lose control of what seems to be a preferential matchup for them right now?
So, I'll be honest, pick and ban phase has to be an important part. Burning Core have 100% banned Lucian, Yone, Pantheon. 100% in all 3 of their games at the moment. These are clear identifying weaknesses in this Burning Core lineup. To hammer home this, V3 have one of the widest champion pools we've seen, behind DFM, of course, because DFM can play everything, and they've also got the tenureship to have it. But the V3 lineup has got a large range of champions to pick from. We also know something like that Yone isn't going to be expected from Ace, but I also wouldn't be too scared for them to do it. V3 have to kind of look at this Burning Core lineup and go, okay, they have to underestimate them, I would expect. Because Burning Core, we saw in summer of 2020, they play really well from behind. We saw that in their series versus Destination Focus Me. And this is a team I still have very high hopes for. The problem is they're against V3, and every member of V3, I'm like, well, they've shown why they're in this team. They've shown why this roster works. I need to see a lot from Burning Core, because I think if V3 just play their standard game, very similar to how they played it against Axis, it could just go that way again for them.
It absolutely could do, but one thing, if we've learned anything over these last 2 weeks, is, as Sam was saying in one of our games where we were kind of stalling for time until Chance Lake did come in, is that it doesn't feel like there's as big a gap between the top, mid, and bottom tier, if there even are bottom tier teams anymore. It feels like everyone has a reasonable shot at taking a game off of everyone else. That's why our predictions today have been a bit all over the place. And if you want to join in those predictions, it is a weekly affair for us over on our Discord. It'd be great to have more people participating in that. And join the think tank, join the hive mind of LJLOU. And one of the things about this Burning Core roster is that they're so hard to predict. They are so hard to place on the board and just say, well, are they going to turn up or are they not? Same with the Sengoku lineup, right? Of course, last week didn't really do that. So we are looking once again to see where the chips are going to fall, what number's going to show up on the dice. And we heard just a tiny bit of an inkling of something translated from the interview at the end of last game from V3, which is from Cogcog saying, oh, look forward to the picks which I haven't shown yet. We're going to have a very interesting pick and ban phase next draft. Now, there's only so many picks you can pull out which are like not in the meta, I guess, because actually there's quite a large amount of champions that are around the place which kind of work, unless we're going to see like Talon top lane with Frostfire Gauntlet. That's something which would be a shout back to Season 6, Season 7. But I mean, there's a lot of picks like floating around the meta, which we've kind of talked about in backstage and with various people around the esports sphere and stuff like that. And, you know, of course, Olaf is very strong right now. Well, we just saw in the LPL, Trundle just got picked into Olaf. There are definite picks around there thinking, okay, maybe there's something to play around here. So, Lexi, Coco, we know has a very wide champion pool, but what are you really expecting? And do you actually think this could be a downfall for them if they pick something a little too wild?
We saw this kind of weird juxtaposition with Sengoku last year, where Appaman would pull out anything and everything out of the gauntlet of his deep pool. That Yorick, right? We're all thinking it. We saw Cho'Gath as well being played by Nap. We know a lot of these players like to play maybe more flavor of the month picks when I mean flavor of the month, I actually mean they just want to play their favorite champion. That Darius from Rayfaki, right? A lot of these top laners do have their favorite comfort champions, which I don't even know if they call pocket picks at this point. They're just more like soft spot picks. I think the Trundle is actually a legitimate one, which can really upset a huge amount of drafts, and we've seen it in the LPL. This was something that me and Nymera were talking about while we were off. It was like, what could we be seeing? And I just went, Trundle? And then Nymera was like, well, LPL has been doing that. And I was like, I didn't even know that. I was just like, Trundle would be fun to see from Coco, because I was scrolling down through all their champions. Maybe that could be one, but he did hint that there would not just be himself, but the whole team's picks could be spicy.
Maybe we're going to go back towards the Twitch for Khan from the World's Play-In stage. So I guess, because I mean, we saw Axis, Hogler pulling out the Udyr, and a number of the players on that team saying in their own interview, in their own winners interview, in their first game today, saying, yeah, we like to do new stuff. We like to play aggressively. And as long as everyone buys into that mentality, it allows you to maintain this cohesiveness, which we know that V3 is absolutely sawed off the ground with. They've had some really good performances so far. So Sam, I guess on the other side of this, we're looking at Burning Core, and we know that Once is typically the person that pulls out new stuff on the side of them. Do you think Burning Core facing something new, perhaps from V3, is that going to upset them, or is that just playing into their hands?
I think it will depend on whether they get a draft they're happy with and whether they can play to it. Because obviously they came in with a game plan last time and really didn't execute. If they can play to their game plan, I don't think it will be that much of an issue. I think they've got enough pizzazz to them, particularly with the likes of Once, Farky, Proud, to not be too shocked by surprise picks. That said, it needs to not come with the cost of losing lanes they shouldn't be. Like, if bot lane falls behind the way they have because some random picks have come out, like maybe it's like hyper engage, Rel Tristana, everybody dies to LPL style. That could end up with a bit of a problem. On the other side, though, if someone picks a bit of a pocket pick, it falls down flat, and you realize that's why it's a pocket pick and not the meta, could definitely be a good thing. But it really does depend on whether Burning Core can come in with a little bit of firepower that they've just not shown in the last game.
Because, so for instance, I mean, when we talk about pocket picks, we talk about people like, I don't know, Huhi over in NA picking Zarelian Sol, when we had Fakers LeBlanc when you used to pick that all the time. And sometimes they are picks which are within the meta, and they're just people that are not practiced with them. But knowing the limits of your own champion is often a boon in itself. I, as an Ahri main, don't exactly end up having my champion in a professional meta that much. And sometimes when I'm in solo queue, I know my own damage is better than the enemy person knows mine too. So I can sometimes come away with a couple of picks which maybe they don't expect. So that's, of course, when we're looking at people like Once who picks up stuff like the Kindred out of meta. That was last year. Now it's very much in meta. That's a very different story, right? If we're going to go see these new picks coming out, and we have touched on this for a little while because, of course, we have had a couple of delays, it'd be really cool to see how practiced these guys are at it, or whether it was just a flight of fancy. So we are just waiting for... Yes, go on, Sam.
Just because we're asked, because that was a very smug conversation from an Ahri main, considering he's such a degenerate, Lexi. So what are you thinking about that? I mean, there's got to be something wrong with the man who plays Ahri so much, right?
I mean, there might be something wrong with the man, but he's not wrong with what he's saying. I can't go
that's how I get away with it.
right. He's right when he's like, I know my damage limits. And that's actually a really important point for anything that we see from this spicy draft that V3 and Cog have hinted towards. If they know their power limits, like if they can really push it to a point where the other side of Burning Core are just like, I didn't know you could do that much.
Well, look at the
There is a
1v1
huge part of
between
it.
Yuhi and Hollow earlier in the day, right? When we saw like the
completely.
Kaiser trying to all in on Zaya, getting immediately blown up in return. It's like, okay, right, that's just a miscalculation. What about Sol killing Utapon in that solo kill in week 1? This has happened quite a lot in the LJL. And the good thing about this is that if people go in with this killer instinct, like couple of HP mindset, it really does bring everyone else in the league into that mindset because you have to roll with the punches.
Guys, I just quickly pulled up. I know I shouldn't because we're on broadcast, but I pulled up Cog's op.gg. Man's been playing Ivan and Kennen, and he's been getting huge win rates.
No.
We're gonna be seeing
All
some...
right, okay. Well, with that
Ooh.
final last twisted tree note, I'll leave you two to the pick and ban phase. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.
Thank you so much, Nightmare. Twisted Tree Line is no longer a thing, and you kind of have to hope that Ivan stops being a thing at some point, because that champion is so irritating in the top and jungle. Kid somewhat, of course, it is definitely roundabout as a bit of a different way to play the game, but myself and Lexi have got ourselves a game to cast, namely Burning Core versus V3. Burning Core being on the blue side, Rayfarky, Once, Gariara, Yuki, and Proud rounding out their roster. And on the other side, of course, it's still V3.
Yeah, on V3 side, they've got Cog, Muji, and Ace, Hollow, and Dino. They're on the red side. They ban the Olaf, and we're hovering. Yeah, no, that seems about right. Hover the champion.
That would have been an interesting first pick.
Well, we have already seen Dr. Mundo seeing competitive play, yes, but I wasn't expecting it. Wow, that's some quick responsive. Mujian immediately going for his Uria, and the Orianna first pick blind picked, not responding back with the Zaya that we've seen several times before from V3.
Obviously feel happy to go towards the mid laner and take the Orianna away from Gariadu, who's played that a couple times already. And, you know, you've already against the Kaiser, so you're feeling relatively confident that that's going down bot lane. You don't have to fight for the Zaya, so that's gone in, and that'll be our third Udyr game in a row.
That's showing a huge amount of presence from them. Talia immediately responded back with, I actually really want to see some form of top laner that's going to save. Actually, that's perfect. The set's perfect here for Burning Core. It allows to have... Okay, so the reason I love this set, if they pick it, is because you can go into the middle of a fight with the Kaiser, and you can do so much to protect a Kaiser, even if she's in the middle of a team fight, while also having Talia, who can basically become the ranged AD carry. But it's gonna be important to see how V3 are gonna respond to this. Burning Core can disengage, re-engage, flank. He can do so much in these fights. Zaya's great response because Zaya is going to be like, I'm gonna fail this fight, I'm gonna get away, and then Set's there.
Yeah.
And then Set says, no, you're in the middle of everybody else, and now my team's there, and we're going to completely shut you down. Darius, no. Apparently, this is a Set support.
Yeah, just don't want to give that away. We are kind of half wondering that's going to be Set support, because Proud Set was fairly infamous last year.
So
was very, very good at it. They ban away the Camille as well, which I definitely recommend. That's another one of those very high priority top lanes alongside the Renekton to take away when you've got that Talia on the other side. So I am curious as to what Rayfarky's going to have up his sleeve. Of course, it could still be the Set, guys. Set could get flexed up there, but we're not necessarily expecting it right now. And we're through to the second round of picks. We'll see what V3 decide to lock in. Leona would make a lot of sense, as honestly with the Rel.
Oh, the Rel is actually way sicker. So Rel is anti-tank engage, right? And if this set is going bot in the support role, Rel is going to be perfect at like kind of countering. I'm using countering in air quotations there, audience. Countering what Set will want to do. We still haven't seen what Cog has been hinting towards, and I'm getting a little bit agitated because I really want to see it. Unless this Udyr is going top, and then we're gonna be, and I'm just like, oh, they all make sense now.
Okay, they've gone towards the Aatrox. Has Rayfarky a fairly easy pick into most things, a little bit blind pickable, pretty strong right now. And Gariado will go towards the Victor, which has definitely been rising in priority as well. Pretty straightforward front-to-back team fight with Once looking to play around with that global Weaver's Wall and cause some chaos. That leaves us with the last pick for top. What will Cog pull out? Will it be the spiciness we have been hinting towards? Aurelia would certainly be that.
I would I'd actually love it here. Do it,
It's
Colcon.
Ivan!
Oh,
It's in! Oh boy, the Green
no.
Father is here. LS somewhere smiles at the carnage he has
Someone
wrought on the
screenshot
meta.
that from the LJL account, please,
Wait.
production.
Is
No,
it gonna be
no,
Udyr
no,
top, Ivan jungle? No!
no. It's 20
There's still room to
seconds.
swap this around.
It's in.
Alright, we've got to wait. It's got to be. It's 20 seconds is
Oh,
the
was it
last swap,
20
I believe.
seconds? I thought it was
It's 20, I
40.
believe. So we're still about 10 or so here.
Uh,
I'm a little bit scared if this is an Udyr top.
I didn't mean
This would be
this.
just
I
amazing.
thought I was
okay, they
meaning.
have finally switched it. And the
Oh.
op.gg does give us the Ivern tops. It's Aatrox into Ivern, which frankly, guys, I have no idea how that plays out.
Wow. Okay. So, okay, right. And now I need to try and adjust all my thought process. I thought when I saw the Ivan, like on his op.gg, I was like, oh, that's cute. But I was like, oh, it's realistic to think the Kennen's actually coming out. We've seen Cog play Kennen before. So I was like, oh, that makes far more sense. No, he's been playing Ivan and,
Beautiful.
oh, okay, so Ivan is seeing huge amounts of play at the moment. Obviously, you go the Moonstone Renewer. Depending on the team, you want to go either go Ardent Sensor into Staff of Flowing Water or Staff of Flowing Water into Ardent Sensor. There are reasons to go into Redemption versus certain compositions. This is not a composition you actually build the Redemption into. You want to go Moonstone into... Ooh... Moonstone? I think it is a Moonstone Staff of Flowing Water into Ardent Sense.
I kind of agree.
I can imagine Nymera will correct either of us if we're wrong about that, but I can't see any other reason unless you want to switch around Ardent Sensor and Staff. I think that's fine.
Again, Nymera is suggesting there's quite a lot of variety there, and I kind of agree. It'll be an interesting one, of course. Aatrox plus that Talia, still a fairly deadly combo, so could definitely look to punish the Ivern, but he doesn't need a lot of items to be useful.
So it's important. It's important. Sorry, Initialize. It's important to note that if V3 get behind, this game's going to go just Burning Core's favor. So V3 have great scaling, but if they get put down in the early game, it's going to be super hard for them to actually capitalize. Rel does counter Set's
shield.
She counters him because of the shield that Set gets from his grit can actually be countered by Rel, so that can nullify a lot of that. And that's pretty much the only shield onto the side, unless Rayfarki, who will be building a Gore Drinker and obviously will get Sterix. So there's another way of getting through that shield. But outside of that, Rel's pretty much on only destroying Set's shield, which is going to be really important because Set loves to jump into the middle. If Rel's waiting for them there, which we can imagine Reiner will be doing a lot of the time, it's going to be so much control. This game's going to be... Oh my god, this is going to be a weird one to cast, Initialize, and I'm glad I'm doing it with you.
So, you can see kind of how the comp from V3 works. If you land a Trigger Seed, Rel gets to immediately get into melee, then get her ultimate off on multiple people, then you've got the Shockwave on top of that, and the Wombo combo is right there, all from a single Trigger Seed landing, because it just makes Rel's job of getting in so much easier without Flash. He's a terror.
And Daisy's going to be able to do the zoning with Rel as well. This is a team that, unless Xayah gets completely thrown behind, which honestly with Rel next to her, I don't see happening. Hollow should in theory be able to get into hyperscaling mentality with Ivan on top of that. It's going to be so big. Set does still flank, and it's going to be important that the side of V3 protect Xayah. We've got a Shockwave with this Orianna. We've got so many shields and heals to come out with this Ivan, with the Orianna. It's going to be in. We're in game, Initialize.
Oh boy, well, there you have it. That is the, I think, is that Elderwood Ivan? That really creepy skin as well. I enjoy what they did to the voice lines and stuff as well, because it just turns all his, normally really kooky lines into, really creepy. It's full-on Krampus going on with that particular skin. Again, a little out of season, but all the same, you get the idea. That said, Burning Core, much more traditional comp. If they can get this Talia rolling, all the Aatrox, all the Xayah, or not the Xayah, all the Kai'Sa, or the Victor, any one of those guys could absolutely destroy V3 as well. It's just, you can also see how the Wombo combo and craziness from V3 work. Udyr lands a spare slap, Trigger Seed lands, and suddenly everybody piles in, and there's just a big Wombo. It's just the problem is you've got to make sure you kill at least one or two carries in that initial burst, or Say if you get Yuki, but Gallardo and Once are still free firing, Ray Farkey gets to go into the backline, things still get quite scary for V3. That said, the AI bot is definitely favoring V3 right now.
Well, part of that reason is we know the win rates of something like Ivan at the moment. I believe in
Pretty
competitive
hefty.
play is actually popping at the moment because people just don't expect it to do so much winning. And that's how I believe the win rate's being worked out. But Talia has an absurd win rate, as does Kaiser, but not in the LJL, actually. So that might be
Interesting.
also why. Oh, no, that's EU. That's EU. I'm sorry. I'm getting my stats all
Of
messed up.
course.
Kaiser has an awful win rate in EU for
Right.
did after Super Weeks. It was like a 38%. Like
Ooh,
just
that's
no
not
one could
good.
win. Yeah, no one could win. Oh, this is Mugen's first Udyr game. Oh my god, so much is happening for first times here.
Well, we have got Udyr Ivan as meta, top, and jungle. What a world we live in. And this is partly why Ivan top is a thing. He walks into a bush he makes and becomes a ranged bully. It's really irritating.
Fuck you, you poor man.
You can't even target back. He's just like, I'm in this bush. You can't see me. You can't auto attack. You
I'm
got to
in, I'm
burn your
out, I'm
Q
in,
on
I'm
that.
out, I'm
Then you
in,
don't
I'm
get to
out.
Q the wave. What are you going to do?
But that's
What I
actually really strong mechanics coming out of Cog already. We're seeing him do the shuffle step, which is he's already being able to get the wave coming in, pressuring him, following him, and then he's immediately getting rid of the creep aggro, immediately gaining awareness. He's kiting really well already, and this is Ivan only at level 3. It's going to be important to see how this scales further.
Of course, Talia as well has decided she's going to path towards bot side, and I can understand in some ways when you've got something like a set for setup, you could definitely look for something there. And after the game that Reiner and Hollow had in the last one, you can see why they might want to shut that down. And we'll see whether Talia finds something like a first gank towards that bot lane duo, or whether potentially Udyr, I suppose, could look for the dive. You can see Ray Farkey's ward is into that tri-brush behind the tower to try and ward off what could be an early dive onto the Aatrox.
It really could be. There's just so many different things that are going on this map at the moment. It's really difficult to kind of keep up with everything. It's important to note that obviously with Once pathing down to this side, Reiner had actually gone around, cleared some vision, and now is going back around. He's he actually didn't. He's changed his ward actually. He went to the sweeping lens and is now going around the map trying to prevent anything from happening in this bot side because they've identified, V3 have identified, hey, we just need this game to keep going. If we can't be ganked, if we sweep out the vision, we can just pretend as if they always are there, and then we can just be safe. We can just always pretend that we don't have to push in. Ace is finding some good trades already onto Gallardo as well.
Yeah, it's relatively even right now at this point, but you can see mana's definitely getting a little bit low for Gallardo. Both of these guys have burned through their corrupting pots, might be looking for that early reset at some point soonish, but keep our eyes on when that happens, or if that happens, all the while. Burning Core getting a little bit of a shove in this bot lane right now. Not much more to be seen. Lot of red wards, and of course that Scuttle Crab vision for V3 in the top river, which will make Talia's job of getting in there a bit difficult. But at the moment, just keeping up in farm with the Udyr seems to be the game plan for Once on this Talia.
Yeah, and Talia actually does need to start trying to find some action because this Udyr can just keep scaling. Udyr is going to be able to clear way faster than Talia will ever be able to clear.
A good ward Once spots that one out and will at least be aware that Mugen was looking for this. But now Proud's roaming over. They might flash for this. Unraveled Earth comes out and not much to be found there. Nicely warded Once. Good Spidey senses there. Knew that there was a bit of a risk of Mugen being around, especially after Ace started tilting towards that side of the lane.
But where we look at this map at the moment, we know that Kolkog's having a great time in this top lane. He's already got about 5 CS advantage, which almost is a full wave. Ooh, though I do think that Reiner might be stepping a bit too far forward. He has got wave control at the moment. He's got the wave advantage, but once he's here,
He is, but there's a ward in the river now that would spot Once coming for a gank should he wish to go for it. Summoners available. Exhaust Cleanse definitely makes things a little bit tricky here. See whether Proud can get in, but here comes the gank. Reiner mounts up, and the flash away from the face breaker keeps Reiner alive. Decent seismic shove, but nothing more found. Flash on the supports.
that's really good. I mean, getting that flash out means obviously it turns into Hexa Flash, which means Reiner isn't going to have that immediate one. But with that flash burn, I wonder if we're going to see a regank and re-engage in this bot side.
Yeah, we'll see whether that does come through. Of course, either way, honestly, Proud being down the flash as well does make him a little bit more vulnerable. There's the Hex Flash into the mount up. Yuhi flashing away, trying to save life, but look at Mujin coming in. He's so fast. Here's the teleport in. Yuhi's sure to fly. Flash, bear, slap, and that will be first blood, but the Weaver's Wall is here as well. But Hollow's managed to get to the other side. Ray Farkey will get one onto Rel, and it'll be a 1-for-1 trade. Jungler gets one, Aatrox gets the other.
That's actually really important to Worth because look, Kokok's still just in this top lane. He's freezing. He's like, yeah, this is fine.
Well, we can see another gank in here.
kills.
That's the Shockwave. Mujin is there as well. Gets the stun. But look at the back end. That will beat the Chaos Storm at once, causing chaos, causing damage. Mujin has no mana, trying to run away. Proud also stepping forwards. But the knuckle down won't be quite enough. But Mujin with no mana, Ace with no mana, won't get much more than a flash there. I wonder whether Once and Proud actually just back off to this Drake now that they know that Mujin has to back away.
Those movement speed steroids coming out from Orianna and oh no, Rel, you're the party
here.
foul.
He could not be there. The seismic shove will be avoided, but now Proud stepping forward gets the pullback with the face breaker. That'll be the crash down, but the haymaker is there. Autos and a flash forward from Once trying to get some more. I think he's out of mana for more. He will at least get that, but now he has to be aware of Mujin being around, but still probably doesn't want to face check into this Talia and set at the same time. We'll have Smite up in a second as well, just trying to pull it away. Smite. That will go the way of Mujin. That's a bit unfortunate. Wanted to try and save the Smite, I think, for the Dragon, perhaps. But it does mean that Mujin does get that blue buff.
Well, I think they know that they can just kind of pressure out. They know Mujin knows he needs to clear out all
this is where Mujin is. Okay, he does back away quick enough. I was a little bit nervous for a second there. Continue.
Mujin needs to clear a lot of this vision around this bot side. They already saw that there was a pink ward that Mujin just kind of ran completely past because he's not interested in it. He needs to find an advantage in another option. And he's looking like he's pathing towards this top side. He's going to take away the blue buff from Burning Core, which is really important because Victor is going to start really wanting this to push out the wave so they can start pressuring in the other lanes. Rift Herald's coming up. What's great? Push the wave, immediately start helping Rift Herald. V3 are just pulling more and more advantage and taking this away from Burning Core. They're disallowing them from getting into this game.
Mujin just stepping forward. He's got a Phoenix to help burn through the wave, and now back away with a Tiger suit on, because why wouldn't you? And they're going to head straight over to that early Herald charge. I wonder whether Burning Core want to contest, or whether they might look towards that Infernal Drake. You can see the pings over towards it. They're definitely thinking about it. But actually, for Burning Core, credit to Once. He's definitely been a lot more involved early on, involved in both the early kills. Nice invade. Unfortunately, didn't get the blue buff. You know, chased down this Rel, who was a little bit too overeager to walk through her own jungle.
Yeah, Rel went really far up. Reiner making uncharacteristic mistake and just kind of not being fully aware of the vision and kind of not judging where the enemy would be. I'm trying to imagine here. I mean, Proud is trying to find something. I wonder where else on this map that they could be something. Dragon is up, so if V3 want to make a trade, they're going to need to try and find somewhere on the map to make it. I'm not sure where they would have a great chance in doing it because, well, if Burning Core are going to take this, they're going to have complete priority over the Dragon as they do take it down. Where are they going to go? It looks like it's going to be this top side.
Ray Farkey's backing away very fast. He's got World Ender. He's got Flash. He might need to use it. Flashes the Shockwave and gets out.
Well, they are going to try and get some turret plating down on this top side, which is going to kind of make up for the fact of, okay, we lost the first dragon. It's not great. It's an Infernal Dragon, so it's actually a good dragon as well, even if you only get one of them. But we'll get a few plates on this top side. Let's try and get Kokog and Mujin to kind of funnel some money into them, because obviously Kokog doesn't need loads of money to get going, because he has sinned, sadly. He has sinned in the Church of LS, because that's a glass. That's a...
Bandle Glass Mirror. The Bandle Glass Mirror, but I believe that does build to Moon.
It does, but you always go Kindle Gem. It's more money efficient and everything. Yeah, no, you're always meant to go Kindle Gem with wards or something else, and then you go into the mirror. That he sinned.
I did not know that. Interesting. Okay, so Kindle Gem first, guys, is apparently the more efficient way forwards. I don't know. I've not really done Moonstone builds because I refuse to give into this no damage idea.
When you get an ARAM game going, bro. When you get an ARAM getting going and you can play Karma, you just want to pop off for a bit, all right? And that's how you know.
All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on that one, and I think Cog has completed the Moonstone Renewer anyway, so that's now up and available for Ivern. And the gold is literally dead even right now. There is, however, a Herald in inventory for Mujin, which I suspect will be used at some point to try and claim some of those plates before they all fall down. 4 minutes, well, 3 minutes until that happens, so got a little bit of time before they have to worry about them falling.
Super interesting stat coming in from production here. Rel worldwide is currently 6-2 versus Set.
Ooh, Wands could be in trouble here. Mujin's come in. He's a very, very deep. But look, Gary is here as well. Could cause chaos. Chaos Storm now out. Mujin trying to run away. Has got Ace around. And that will be the end of that. Nice idea from Mujin, but Gariaru was quick to respond and keeps his jungler alive. Now Yuhi's in trouble though, because here comes Reiner. Needs to get away from this. There's the Magnet Storm, and Yuhi is in so much trouble, but does just use the ultimate and gets out. That's after the exhaust and stuff is burned as well, so I think they're relatively happy with that one, a Burning Core.
Absolutely. Burning Core are going to be like, okay, well, we got them to actually expel more than we did. The exhaust came out. We didn't use anything. Slight advantage to Burning Core. However, this top lane is still going pretty happy for Cog. He's not going to be caring too much. And now the Rift Herald is spawning here. They're going to get the full turrets. They're going to get first turret over to V3, which is super important for them because this is more gold going into Mujin.
It is, but at the same time, look at the bot side. You can see definitely shoving in a Burning Core, trying to get this bot tower in response. They've got 2 plates, nearly 3, but second Herald Charge does come through, and it's a decent gold injection there for V3, who were kind of in need of that. It's the Mountain Drake in just under 2 minutes, and V3 at least managed to clear this wave and not lose too many plates, as their attempt was made by Burning Core.
It was indeed. We actually do see that Moonstone coming out for Cog as well because of all that gold that's been funneled into Mujin. The chem tank is already built. It's only 12 minutes into the game. Udyr has full boots. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Full boots as well as the chem tank. He's going to be running around like an absolute mad lad now. And I expect a lot of fights around this next dragon to come up for the side of V3.
Absolutely. And it's also just definitely not Udyr skin, which is just amazing. He just wears various onesies, which I just love. The bear onesie in particular is highly entertaining.
I do have to agree. That is the skin I use when I play Udyr. Like, I've played a lot of Udyr, actually. I was looking at my account. Yeah, I played a bunch of it. I remember when Phoenix starts, like, in Season 4 was the correct thing to do. And then I basically stopped playing the champion for, like, multiple seasons and became a Leona one trick for a long period of time. And that didn't work out so well for me. So, hey-ho. But Ivan is going to have like 40 to 50, 40-ish to 50-ish ability haste, meaning all of his abilities are going to be up so many times. He's going to be able to throw out his Q at least 2 to 3 times, which is going to set up great for this this second Baron coming up soon.
Dragon indeed about to spawn about 20 seconds. V3 looked maybe to go for a bit of a fight there, but the wards definitely kept Yuhi safe, and credit to Yuhi and Proud. Definitely a better laning phase this time out. Didn't end up miles behind as it kind of got a bit ugly in the last time out, but now Ace in a spot of bother has got, of course, got phase rush, but gets knocked up by the Dark in Blade. Good shockwave to buy space, but it is now burned. Mujin's on a ward, which means he's kind of spotted out here, so he's going to be a little bit aware.
Walking down, but he's coming from base. He's keeping in.
All right, Daisy, of course, will be a very strong option here as well. Mountain Dragon now alive. Burning Core in position, looking to get something out here. Mujin's running towards Gadiada, who's in a spot of bother. He might need to flash away. Here comes Rayfaki over the wall, and now Mujin has gone a little deep and has to flash out. Gadiada's got TP and can come back in relatively quickly. Daisy falls down early on in this fight as well, and V3 are going to have to back away and maybe look to get towards this mid lane turret, but Gadiadu with the swift teleport back in will buy space, buy time. And we can see Rayfaki has got himself Gore Drinker and teleport wants to come back. Reiner has to crash down to escape from a bit of a shove out there. Mujin's still at about half HP, and I think it's a bit of a muchness right now. Dragon started and Dragon backed away from. A few ultimates burned, a few flashes burned, and nothing much more to be found.
And Dragon's still up, and I'm waiting to
see big
which...
shove! Oh, man, Mujin did not like that at all. He's down again to about a third HP, but fortunately did have Oriana and the like to come and support him there, and I got very excited, probably a little bit early there.
A little bit. We are still waiting to see. It looks like Burning Core position themselves to take over this dragon. However, they've still not even started. They are looking to clear vision, which makes total sense at the moment. Mujin is nowhere near this dragon, so the side of V3 are conceding it over, and we're going to see how quick members of V3 respond back. They're already going back to their lanes. Obviously, Ivan and this Cog is going to be going back to a lane, which doesn't have a turret, which means he is going to be in a more volatile position in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Mujin, though, does get to move straight over to this Herald, and that means that they will get that as their kind of trade and objectives. 2 Heralds versus the 2 Drakes. It has meant that V3, of course, have got that early tower. Hasn't really got them a gold lead, which is a bit frustrating. It's literally 200 gold, if that separates these 2 teams. And Burning Core relatively happy with this game state, considering they've got the Dragon standing, considering as well, it's looking like a Cloud Rift, he says, looking slightly perplexed at what he can see of the map. Yes, it is, I think, with those Scryers blooms all around. So they've got Cloud Drakes coming up, which is not the biggest thing for this team, but honestly, having Chaos up more often, having World Ender up more often, hell, having Showstopper and Killer Instinct is no bad thing for this squad if they can continue to stack these Drakes.
Absolutely not. It's a great thing in every sense of the word. But now we have to try and figure out where do the teams want to go with the next few fights. Burning Core have objective control, but V3 have a turret control on top side. It's not going to be a huge amount of pressure until we start seeing Baron fights, but Dragon is the most important thing. We're on a Cloud Rift, which has one of the lowest percentages, especially in competitive play. So there's not going to be a huge amount to worry about that. V3 now need to just try and find their way to kind of push the early advantage that all the items they got. Ace has got this Leandries. Now Hollow's got a Gale Force. Let's see what they can work with this.
See how this goes. They're going to see whether Ray Farkey overextend a little here, but so is Once around the back. He's got to be a bit careful. The teleport's coming through as well, and that is a very dead Talia, surely. Yep, she will just fall down. Mujin gets that one. And Once didn't really have much to say about that once he got collapsed on there.
No, he absolutely didn't. And now V3 need to keep pushing. They now have an advantage when it comes to the numbers. Can they now push into a lane? Burning Core are currently taking this bot tower.
There they are, and now there goes the Showstopper onto Rhino. I'm not sure how much more they're going to get out of it. Crash down over. That's towards Gary Aru. I don't think you want that. There's the Magnet Storm buying time, but Rel, not tanky enough. Flash away, and the Acathian Rain will be acidic enough to melt through all the armor that Rel was wearing.
They are going to try and get this top tower. Ray Farkey is playing great control with preventing this Rift Herald. Oh no, I thought that was a... What was it?
That was Daisy. I know. It's got the purple
God.
effects, and you assume it's going to be mid lane tier 1 that does fall with the Herald. So 2 turrets to 1 at that point. But once Burn the Weaver's Wall to get here, trying to contest. Not quite on time, unfortunately. That does mean that ultimate's down. But then Yuhi's going in, using the Killer Instinct, trying to get onto Ace. Shockwave comes out, but Ace now in a spot of bother with the HP bar very, very low. Needs to be a bit afraid of whether Proud can find his way onto him or the likes. Of course, Corrupting Pot will heal his way up, and a lot of shields coming out, because, of course, Cog can offer those to his teammates.
Yeah, and heals as well because of how Moonstone works. There's just going to be this constant reassurance from the side of V3. It's like, well, even if things go bad, as long as we don't die, we always have a way of staying back into this game. And what's interesting to note is that Cog currently in this game is about 400-500 gold behind Ray Farkey. But when you look from an itemization point, they're at neutral. They're neutral. If anything, Cog's a bit further ahead along his build at the moment, which actually means minor advantage over to Cog because of how gold efficient his items are. Even though Gore Drinker was the first item, which we all know is such a strong item, especially on a champion like the Aatrox. But his only good kind of counter is actually going to be this Udyr and this Rel, because Aatrox wants to play against melee champions. Cog isn't melee. Ace isn't melee. Hollow isn't melee. Only Rhino, and Rhino's fine with looking at the Aatrox face to face. And Udyr's whole job is to actually run past Ray Farkey. He's like, no, I'm not interested, mate. I'm going to go on to Yuhi. I'm going to go on to Gadiad. I'm going to go on to Once. Everybody else on your team is irrelevant to me because I am the stun magnet. It's going to be really interesting to see how V3 play these next 2 fights. And if Burning Core can actually match it and actually turn it, because they do have the ability to do so.
And it's the big gold difference at this point. There's not really any, but the only slight ones really are slight ones for Udyr over Talia, which of certain significance, but probably not as much as you'd like it on, say, a Xayah or an Orianna. And similarly, the other side, there's a slight lead for, say, this Aatrox, which is no bad deal for, of course, Ray Farkey, who's doing just fine. But again, Ivan, very happy with where he's at. Not so far off a Staff of Flowing Water, which would be good news for him. He might be about to get flanked on, but we've got a Cloud Drake coming in about 5 seconds, and that means a fight, Lexi.
It will. I mean, if some poke damage goes down early onto Burning Core, I can see them kind of conceding this. But if that doesn't happen, I imagine we're going to see a pretty decent fight from this.
See how it goes, of course. But V3 certainly have the priority around this river. They're in there first, but Burning Core will try and get in as fast as they can. Rayfaki is over the back of this wall, looking to see whether they can get in. But I wonder whether they just have to give this one up. There it is. It goes down. They can't get in close enough, and that will mean Dragon stacking is at least now stopped. Reiner, though, caught in problem. He takes a lot of damage. That's a lot of work down, but he's actually very, very damn tanky. And Mujin now coming through, trying to get something here. He's a very speedy, very, very speedy Udyr. And now Rayfaki in a spot of bother gets the shockwave on him. He's staying alive for a while, but it's not enough. And that will be V3 getting the one pick back after getting the Drake as well. They thought they found a pick onto Reiner and just couldn't do any damage to the damn woman on the horse.
Now they need to try and figure out where is the best control. They can go over to this Baron. They haven't got any waves really in a perfect spot. Bot lane is slowly going to push for them in that bot side. Top lane is getting pushed into. There's nothing really else they can get there. They already got the main prize, which was that dragon. There is no great consolation prize because, hey, you already got the main prize, and that was the dragon, which you secured early. Getting a pick onto Rayfaki was great. Rel getting completely caught out in no man's land. I didn't realize you could jump on top of Talia's wall sometimes, but apparently you can. Rel, cute interaction. Rayfaki, though, is in middle of no man's land. I said this when you were casting. I was like, he's split. This is exactly the spot where he split. He gets an amazing amount of healing from that gold drinker, but it just wasn't going to be enough. He was too far away from 3 to 4 members of his core team, which just means you're not going to have any backup, mate. And Rayfaki, you're not tanky. You do a lot of damage, but you're not that tanky, like unkillable machine yet. Aatrox is going to take a lot further more into this game. V3 showing that they can teamfight already early on.
I appreciate the second item in here from once as well. He has gone for the full Morellonomicon, knowing that, of course, the Ivern is there with all the healing he can provide with the moon.
Well, Udyr has healing on his turtle form.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's just quite a lot there. You need someone who's going to be countering some of this healing and shielding coming through, and I appreciate the choice there from once. Not sure whether anybody's going to be able to build anything like a Serpent's Fang, though, to cut down on the shielding, which will be a bit of a frustration, I'm sure. Maybe this Kai'Sa could go towards it, but I don't know how nicely that fits into a build. So, of course, those Trigger Seeds and what's it called? Command Protect. There we go from Orianna. Definitely going to be doing a lot of work alongside, of course, things like Udyr's Turtle Stance as well. So a lot of shields to come out along with a lot of healing could get really irritating for Burning Core to deal with in team fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we need to see, obviously, members get... Ooh, Proud's taking some poke damage, though. He's going to be able to walk away. What's going to be important to note with that Morellonomicon is they do need to get below 60 to get that 60% reduced healing. They need to be below 50 health. This was something actually I got corrected for last time when we casted this. You get 40% just static, and then all of them have abilities, which obviously if you meet that criteria, you're able to go further with that. It's going to be important because obviously the most important members that are doing a lot of the healing, well, they're shielding as well. So the shield will come on top of it with Ivan, with the healing, with Mujin. A lot of these healings are going to start happening way earlier on. So it's going to be important to see how they go into this next team fight, which will probably be around this Cloud Dragon happening in the next 1 minute 40.
Yeah, and you can see they really want to get Gariadu towards this second item, not Leandri's, Lichbane. There's the word I'm looking for, which would make him a lot more scary. Nearly there, but Proud in a spot of bother will get jumped on, but that's actually a fairly decent shove back. Reiner with the Magnet Storm also in the background. Yuhi in a spot of bother gets away, doing some damage. Showstopper by space, but Gariadu sure to fall. The Chaos Storm isn't bad. The Root Caller is there, but V3 find the pick they were looking for and will now retreat over to the Baron with all the healing and shielding they can provide. Rayfaki on vision, and V3 aren't done yet. They're looking for a pick.
The fact that Gariadu was the one that went down
is
here
we go. Running at once. Rayfaki also in a spot of bother. They're going to try and get him as the world ender. He is in no man's land. They thought he was done. Decent healing back isn't bad from Rayfaki. Ryuhi's gone in, but the shockwave shuts him down. That is a massive pick onto Kai'Sa and once. Still running away, but Mujin just gets to run at him. Attract and repel from the side of Reiner. Roots him in place. It's an ace for V3. They play the bait game far too well, and they'll move on to Baron as their prize.
Shields and heals, shields and heals, shields and heals, and it worked perfectly over and over again. What's great about this fight, and when we do the replay, I will mention this, because Rayfaki, nothing was used on him. Kai'Sa, when Q applies the flat Serpent Fangs damage on each missile for as long as the shield lasts. That's 12 procs of 70 plus 40% AD on each hit. Lively would have done the damage. However, that shockwave prevented it completely from happening. Watch this, that stun comes out onto Yuhi, gets completely zoned out, and now they're trying to find it after Gadiadu is caught right into the middle. It means the rest of the team can immediately start running over to this Baron and pull the side of Burning Core. The problem here is nothing gets used on Rayfaki outside of basic abilities. No ultimates get spent. Rayfaki just kind of sits there. This is why he's able to tank for so long. This is why the Gordrick does so much healing in the middle of this. Look at that. Jesus, he shouldn't survive. But it's because they are waiting for for Yuhi to pop around, immediately to show their face on this Kai'Sa. Shockwave came out, denied everything. They get the Baron, and now they're pushing onto this dragon.
Yeah, this might be one of those last gasp attempts for Burning Core. They could really use a team fight before things get too crazy. About a 1,500 gold lead from this Baron right now, and I think Burning Core just going to give up this Drake. It puts them at, not sure if that's soul point or whether the observers put up that second Drake early on, but you can see that is some Udyr damage. I am not used to seeing Udyr do 5k damage in a team fight, but there you have it.
I mean, this is real new. I'm loving seeing Udyr currently in this metagame. Like my heart flutters the more I see it, and I'm looking forward to hearing you say flash, bear stance, stun over and over again. I will never get tired of hearing it, especially with an Ivan top. Like, if this is our meta for the rest of the year, I'm okay with this initialize. I'm a degenerate, and this is my kind of game of League of Legends.
It absolutely is. It's a 5k gold lead, and I knew you were a degenerate before this. Just proves it a little bit more. There is now at least a second item in for Victor.
Savage.
He has got himself an Seraph's Embrace in and completed. He's not far away from a Lich Bane, and Burning Core just desperately need to get a few more items on their carries. They need to do it without bleeding out too much further, because V3 are in danger of just running over this game if they haven't already.
No, they are really pushing in every single avenue. They're getting the Baron buff. They are pushing. They're pushing on this bot side. They're pushing on this mid side. And the problem is Gadiadu is currently pushing this top side, which isn't going to be able to get a lot of them. And it looks like Mujin's actually fishing, and they want to get this inhibitor turret.
They want to try, certainly. They've got about 20 seconds left on the Baron. They've got Daisy there to tank as well. Gadiadu has now returned. And yeah, you can see Cog around as well. And Reiner and Hollow will instead rotate towards the mid lane, get the tier 2 there. That's not a bad Baron power play overall. Reiner takes a bit of an Acathian rain to the face there, but is just fine and will back away. And you can see Burning Core, 2 turrets to 5, not the best look right now, and V3.
They really want this bot turret, don't they?
Fast. What is that? Proud now stepping forwards, gets bear stunned, and is not particularly happy about that. Then Reiner goes in, he's on to set. That's not fantastic. The shockwave is decent on the Rayfaki, but the shield also good. Not that much damage from V3 that time out, and Burning Core hold on to their inhibitor turret at least.
Yeah, this kind of showed why Reiner is just so tanky on this Rel. Rel has now hit that kind of hump. I feel like Rel personally early game is a little bit disappointing, but once you get a little few of her levels, her raw base stats start really coming in. With the Aegis that she's built, so much tankiness just comes out of this champion. And with the ability to just kind of zone out a set, which is a lot of the engage from Burning Core. If Rel is solo preventing Set from coming into this fight, what is the hope for Burning Core to win these fights? And I'm struggling if Proud is being prevented by Reiner on this Rel. Does it all fall to Rayfaki? But we saw Rayfaki in the middle of a team fight. He tanked 5 members, and then the moment anybody else showed their face, immediately shockwave from Ace, immediately stunned bear stance from Mujin, immediately stunned from Cog. There is just so much pick potential from this side of V3. It's going to be so hard for Burning Core to come back in, because the advantage of 5k gold now from V3 is really starting to show.
Yeah, it is. And there's also just an issue. It's like, Yuhi's quite short range. Like, when do I dive in? Versus all the feathers, Rel and the crash down and the mount up and the magnet field, and Ace with the shockwave, and Mujin and Cog with all the CC they can provide very easily. It makes Yuhi's job in these team fights, like looking for that killer instinct dive, quite challenging right now. That said, you do have a Victor at 2.5 items. You do have Once, who's on this Talia and not weak either per se. You know, like, there is a world where you get enough damage, but they need not to bleed out all the map pressure while they're doing it. At least they haven't had their base broken. They've still got to claim back from a 4,500 gold deficit though, and that is no easy task.
It's not. And the problem that Burning Core are finding against V3 is it's not one member of V3 that has a huge amount of the gold funneled onto them. They've actually shared it really well through Muujin, Ace, and Hollow. The fact that Cog is actually behind Ray Farky at the moment when it comes to the gold is it's just what they want. 12k on Muujin, 12k on Ace, 13k on Hollow. Great. Cog can have 9k. He's a support, basically. It doesn't matter. And
Cog's got a Medjai's. Like,
Yeah.
this man has decided he's going into the business of soul stealing, Screw being a nice guy
He's
at the
done
forest.
this in his solo queue games. He actually commonly builds this third item.
grief.
Like,
I mean,
he loves it.
I can sort of see it, right? That actually, it's quite. If Ivan's playing right, he probably doesn't die all too easily with this kind of team comp. So it makes sense, right? You like there's the old school practice of building Medjai's on Janna and stuff, because the idea being you get the stack super easy and just don't die. So you understand the idea, right? And at this point, Cloud Drake's up in 5 seconds. Baron is now live, and Burning Core are in a difficult position. It's a decent shove onto Reiner, but not the most amount of damage as yet. Muujin, also a Mach 10. Udyr, good lord! What is that speed? They won't get onto Gary Aaron. That's a good weave as well to put Muujin away, though. They're going to continue trying to get as much damage down as they can, and I am frozen briefly, so you mean to take just over for a second.
Okay, so we've seen the side of Burning Core actually getting pushed away, and now V3 are rotating around to this Baron fight.
Beautiful.
There's a lot
I am
of
returned
options
as well. They do. That was the fastest Udyr in the West, or rather the East.
It was. It's so fast it broke your internet.
It did. It was so fast. The sonic boom froze my screen briefly, which wasn't fantastic. Now, Muujin and Ace are going to be around about trying to hold as much time as they can, but the Baron is going down. And once again, my internet's just being a little bit slow, so I may need to just take over for half a second.
The stream also for us over on our Observer has gone, so I'm actually going to just move over to the official stream and just do it through that way.
We can see back, though. And we
are
are back, and we can see just about, it's pretty blurry, but I can see V3 trying to get their way onto as many people as they can. They've not managed it, but they have got Baron. The fight commences, and Ray Farky in the backline causing some chaos, but not before Gadiaru is going to fall down to that Xayah, who's doing so much work. It's a double kill for the Lady of Feathers, and now Burning Core are on the retreat. And while they got a mid-tier 1, they lost Baron, and they're likely to lose the Cloud Drake as well. That is not a worthwhile trade.
It won't be a worthwhile trade at all, but now the side of V3 are going to be knocking on the front door, and they're going down the mid lane saying, hello, we want your turret, we want your inhibitor. Do you like what we're selling, Burning Core? Burning Core say, no, we don't actually like any of this, but they don't have a choice. So much has already been expelled from the side of Burning Core. They've lost Ray Farky, they've lost Gadiaru. They are a huge part of preventing any push from the side of V3, and V3 are brute forcing their way. They want this bot
Proud is going to try and get his way out with a showstopper. That's not bad, actually. Buys some time, but the shockwave in response does so much work. Crash! Down goes Rel, and it is a Kai'Sa who has to Gale Force away. There's some respawns now, which might buy time, but Daisy is a bit of a disaster as well. Talia goes down again to this Orianna. Chaos ensues. And the shields are just massive. V3 will claim an inhibitor. We'll probably have to back away because the health bars are a little too low for their tastes. And they'll retreat towards a Cloud Drake and Cloud Soul Point.
Remember, this whole fight started when they were getting the Baron. This is how long they've been going on for as they get this Cloud Drake. It's been going on for so long. The Baron power play is already about a minute and a half down through when they would have started this whole team fight. I'm looking forward to coming over to a replay. So one, we actually hopefully get a bit of a glimpse at what happened. I imagine what happened is actually V3 just did the Baron way faster than Burning Core expected them to. And it actually did happen like that. Burning Core were like, we're going to force our way in. They weren't able to get it. And now look at Muujin. He is so fast. Immediately goes onto this Ray Farky, runs away, and now he's waiting for the timer. He's waiting for the cooldown to come back. It comes back up, and then immediately they just jump in. Rel goes in, double stun through, and now what can Burning Core do except for run for the heals? There's no way for them to actually prevent that engage from happening, because what can you do when a Muujin on an Udyr is running at you at Mark 10? He's breaking the speed records, and the only champion on the Rift that would say, no, that's my job, would probably be Rammus.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's so much a bear stance as a cheetah stance at this point, because he is going about as fast on land as any other animal known to man. Or, well, any of the other creatures that live on Runeterra, I suppose. And it gets worse when he's got an Attract and Repel from Reiner to double up the amount of CC he has. He just slaps you as a bear, then Rel presses a button, and suddenly you're stunned again. And you have nothing to say about it. Yeah, she jumps off her horse as well. Gets all a bit crazy. And now Burning Core have once again got to try and find something to hold on to this game. But they are last the last stand here. They're holding on by the skin of their teeth. And V3 look highly in command, and they just don't have enough damage, enough way to stay safe from this incredibly fast Udyr.
Watch for Reiner. He's a lot of their board control. Well,
I understand the thought. You can keep an eye on Reiner, see what he does. They're going to try and get in. There's the Magnet Storm, the Shockwave to follow. The Wombo combo gets to Leah. It's one dead. Make that the Kaiser to follow. The Victor gets one back onto Reiner. That's something, but look how much stuns there are. What is this champion? A triple kill to Zaya to end it all out, and V3 get another win on the board, and it looked pretty damn good. Ivan, top, Udyr, jungle. What a world and what a meta this is.
15 assists for Cog at the end of that. This man said he has something interesting, something spicy for us, and he was damn right. I'm looking forward to seeing more from the side of V3 Initialize in the future.
I really am. It's been an interesting one, of course. You saw some of the ideas. Couple early ganks from Burning Core finally worked out. And then the mid-game team fights happened, and then all the shielding and healing there. Things got a bit crazy. But to break down this last game of the day, we're going to take a swift break. We'll be back with an analyst desk in about a minute or so. In a moment.
Welcome back for a final time today. You are joined by us, Merry3, on the LJL OU broadcast, bringing you a fan broadcast in English of LJL content all the way out from Japan. So we just saw V3 take down Burning Core in yet another messy, drawn-out affair, but this one seemed a little bit more in control of V3, at least after an early game. So, Sam, I know that we were going to talk about this in a slightly different order, but I do want to talk about how this did end up kind of going Burning Core's way, at least early, right?
Yeah, I mean, once actually managed to get a couple kills and assists on the board, and I was like, okay, that's much better. Once, with this Talia getting off to an early start, you got this Aatrox with an early kill, they teleported down and got some kills on the bot side. It looked pretty good. Problem was they couldn't really translate it into much, and eventually that V3 comp just got so obnoxious.
Absolutely did. And why was that comp obnoxious? Like, see, there was some talk of spicy picks, strange picks, things which would not been picked before in the LJL. Ivan top came through. Udo we'd seen a couple of games of before, but the combo of these two was snarled up the front line so much for the side of Burning Core. Ray Farkey might have played well, but what more was there really that they could do about that complexy?
Honestly, they were kind of damned once the Ivan, which was the last champion that got locked in. This was actually very big brain from V3, and it's not surprising that they had probably planned this whole draft through with the idea of going, okay, Cog, whatever happens, you're playing Ivan top at the end of the draft. We're just leaving that hidden because you don't want to show that because that's really important information to prevent. So they go, okay, so we've got Ivan. That's really good. What's great jungler to pair with? Well, we can give them more heals. We can give them shields. We can have I can have a champion go in with them. Udyr. Udyr's great. Stun lock, knock up. So much happened. And this team just juggled so much of the CC that the composition offered so effectively.
So we're hearing from the interview on the mainstream that apparently Mujin was watching Pyoshik's Udyr and Soliku and thought, all right, I'm having that. And very much enjoyed the game. And honestly, when you get to cosplay Sonic the Hedgehog and have that hedgehog stance as an extra ability, I guess that can be quite entertaining. Less entertaining for Yuhi, less entertaining for the Victor too. Sam, I guess going over to that, I mean, we saw the Serpent's Fang on the Kai'Sa. We saw Victor doing some okay things, of course, too. But it really just felt like it was a bit futile, right?
It really did. I mean, the fact is, when Udyr gets to stand an auto-attack in Phoenix stance and get 5k damage in a teamfight, something is wrong with the way the game is being played. And part of the problem was...
No, it's all right. It's all correct in my eyes. I see nothing wrong with this version.
Shush.
When will Ari do 5,000 damage in teamfights, huh?
Oh, boy. I guess the point I'm getting at...
That one's different.
One of these days. Either way, the point being, actually, Burning Core had very little way to disengage that Udyr, who got to have Command Dissonance speed-ups, and Chem Tank, and Force of Nature, and Deadman's, and Phase Rush. He was so quick, and then he goes in, he's got shields for days behind him. He's also got a Root Caller, which allows him to immediately get a dash courtesy of Ivern, which otherwise means that Udyr can sometimes get zoned out. And there was no way for Burning Core to watch all the angles, keep Rel out, and Ivern from hitting Root Callers, and then the Udyr on top. And Victor could not get out of teamfights. He could not get in. And Burning Core were really struggling to work out how on earth they wanted to play these teamfights. And they never had a chance to figure it out because Udyr would be in their faces before they could think about it.
Yes, their flights were cancelled or delayed, not really getting in or out of those teamfights. And no better example was shown of that in this game than a lot of the Baron plays that came around from V3. Because they had some good macro play, setting up the map and the vision which came with that. And honestly, the Barons which they took, there was one bait and then one much more decisive fight later into the game where it seemed like V3 just had everything in the palm of their hand. So Lexi, talk me through those plays in particular.
Yeah, so Initialize, do you mind handling the slightly bigger one, if that's okay?
Sure, absolutely, man.
Great. So this first Baron fight that happened, he has to talk a lot more for that one, so I'm giving him the hard. This first Baron fight, there was a huge amount of importance actually played on really actually securing and almost isolating 1 to 2 members at a time. This wasn't like a big Baron fight where it's like, oh my god, massive, huge kills came out. No, this was actually like 1 or 2 picks here. Then they're able to just force the Baron, and the side of Burning Core actually looks at it and goes, this is a really awkward Baron for us to go at. The problem is, once they had already lost 1 member, they had to fight. They had to go in. And even with Aatrox tanking 5 members. The second that they did, because they didn't use a single ultimate on this Aatrox, once Rayfarki died, and Yuki decided to go, okay, I'm gonna have to poke my head now. It's now or never, guys. Shockwave, kill, big advantage then going into V3's perspective and side, and they just were able to use that momentum until the second Baron.
Sam, of course, going over onto that second Baron was also another example of how V3 seemed very coordinated, seemed very on the same page, and coming into a second week only of spring, not even summer, this seems to be a really high level of coordination for a spring split team.
Yeah, I completely agree, and especially considering this is another rookie AD carry that Rhinus under the wing and made look pretty damn good. His last game on the Kai'Sa was pretty phenomenal. He did a good job on the Xayah this time, but I think all eyes probably are on the engagers and the tanks this time out. Reiner, Mujin, and Kog'Kog all had pretty phenomenal games this time out. Looking over at the damage graphs at the minute, and when you are seeing a 16k damage Udyr game, that's 6,000 damage higher than the Taliyah, 1,000 more than the Victor. Like, that is pretty telling of how that game went, because Udyr just got to wail on whoever he walked up.
Yes, absolutely did, but there is no whale stance on an Udyr. I guess we missed that one. We had the Hedgehog, didn't account for the other one. So, with all things said and done, it's time for us to cap off the day here over on our English fan broadcast of the LJL. The LJL, officially unofficial, or OU, whatever takes your fancy. You can find us on Twitter, you can find us on Discord, you can find us right here on this stream, where apparently you're watching us from if you're seeing it. And it's been a really back and forth day. Our predictions have been completely out of whack for those that are interested, because we had some upsets. We saw Rascal Jester first taking on Burning Core, and then we had Axes versus Rascal Jester, where of course Axes ended up managing to take the win there. We had V3 versus Axes, Burning Core versus 3 just now, and it has been an absolute fiesta across all games, but it seems like it's been a well-controlled fiesta. I've been very happy with the level of play. We're looking from the casting stand and then of course over on the analyst desk too. However, so those of you with the eagle eye and the knowledge of the mainstream will know that these are the last 4 games of the 8 games in the game day, but we cast from the UK. It's a very different time zone. They started about 4 a.m., 5 a.m. for us, so what does that mean? It means that we will be recapping these games, casting them on our stream as live games so we can have them as VODs, and for those who want to watch them in English, we will be doing that tomorrow. Watch out on our Twitter and our Discord for all of those notices, because we will be up bright and early at some point to go find out what happens in those games officially on our stream. So from one last time, from Initialize, from Mast1, and from myself, thank you very, very much for joining us on this day of LJL action, and we will see you tomorrow.